What's up, everybody? John from Florida Moto Talk coming at you again with yet another video. And for this one, I'm joined by another special guest. You've probably seen him pop up in a couple of the edits and a lot of the pictures too. But we got Alex up here tonight. What's going on, Alex?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good. Just sitting at
Nice,
home, chilling, watching the game.
man. Nice, man. Well, like I said, we'll try to get you out of it, man. Out of here, I mean, and get you back to the game. But tonight we had another special video kind of planned. We wanted to bring a bunch of the guys on and talk about just track day costs versus racing costs and kind of just give everybody an idea what to expect if they're getting into track days or racing as far as how much they're going to be spending. But it's a Sunday night. We were hoping to have 4 or 5 guys up here, but things came up. So me and Alex are just going to hold it down, right?
Yeah, bums.
We've been bums, man. Sunday night, spending time with their families and stuff like that, man. Going to bed, nice. But yeah, we just wanted to get this out ahead of the new year too. I mean, all the orgs are putting their schedules out now, so people are planning and budgeting. So we just wanted to go over this real quick, just to help, any new guys that are coming into the sport kind of know what to expect price wise, and just give everybody an idea of kind of what we're spending, and just to show everybody that it's getting into track days and racing it. It's not something that's impossible. I mean, you can pretty much do it on every budget. There's a way. It's the kind of sport where you can put as much money into it as you want to, but if you're making money and you know how to budget, I mean, I think it's attainable for most people. But let's just hop into it, Alex, man. Just real quick, man. Just tell us, a little bit about yourself, real quick, for the guys out there who haven't ran into you yet.
So I used to race CCS back in 2019, I believe, was my first year racing. I did a couple rounds, just New Jersey, Summit Point, and then I took a little bit of a break. We saved some money, moved down to Florida, and now I've been back in it for the last year and a half, I would say, somewhere around there, and I've been pretty heavily into it. So down here, just go to Jennings. I've been doing a couple of the WERA rounds last season. I did 2 rounds of the ASRA CCS rounds, and I just realized that the WERA grids were just a little bit more competitive and just more packed overall. So that's where I'm going to be spending my money for now. But I plan on doing the majority of the season, for the Southeast region. But and see what I can do. Hopefully, chase a title.
Nice. So you've been around the block, man, at least
Yeah,
once or
yeah.
twice, right? So you know a thing or two, right? You know a thing or two, man. Let them know. Um, how's the racing, man, compared to up north? Is it more competitive up there or down here? What do you think?
Um. So I would say when I first started racing ever, the competitiveness up in the Northeast was heavy, right? It
Yeah.
was good, and there was a lot of people on the grid. Then when I came back down, or I came down here and got back into it, I don't know what happened, but the grids just weren't the same. So that's why I ended up going to WERA, in the first place. But I would think right now, from what we've seen, I would say
Hmm.
it's about the same as
Nice.
about the same.
Yeah.
If not, it might be a little bit better down here. You know, Especially like when you have the national tracks, Barber, Road Atlanta.
Hmm.
You know, the heavy hitters come out to play then.
Yeah, man. And for those who are just tuning in to any of our videos, I'm pretty new to racing myself, but I've just raced my second year with WERA, and I've been doing track days for, shoot, I can't even remember at this point, 10, 15 years of track days and just riding in general. So a lot of experience between the two of us. But let's just like I said, let's just hop into it, man. What do you? Let's start with our jobs, right? What do you do for work?
So I do electrical work. I'm an electrician. I just mainly do residential, like upgrading, like decorative pieces, right? So
Nice.
where I live down here in Sarasota County, right, in the Gulf Coast of Florida, um, just a lot of retired people, right? That's mainly what it is. A lot of retired people,
Yep.
and just a lot of new houses going up because obviously all of Florida is pretty popular, especially after
Mhm.
COVID. So a lot of new builds. That's what I'm mainly into. So a lot of people just moving into their houses need ceiling fans, lighting, decorative lighting, new plugs in their house or something, whatever it may be, just like little electrical jobs, I would say. Nothing like too heavy. So I'm not doing
Nice.
the electrical work that goes in before the house, but just simple stuff, pays the bills.
So either way, business is booming though, huh?
Oh yeah.
Down with new
Business
houses
is
going up.
booming. Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. And we don't have to talk numbers or anything, but would you say like average income, above average? Where would you sort of put
Uh
yourself?
I w- I would say maybe above average.
Yeah.
I would My job is just different though. I have flexibility. I could take off whenever,
Mhm.
it's just a way different. I just make my own schedule for the most part. So I would say, yeah, somewhere above average
Yeah.
if you're
And
talking median numbers.
yeah, yeah. And I don't think I've ever talked about it on this channel before, but so I work in law enforcement full time, and I would say that I make slightly above average pay too. But the beautiful thing about my job is that we get overtime. So for me, whenever there's a race coming up or a track day that I want to go to, that's going to be like Barber, like we did a
Yep.
few months back, where it's like $1,500, $2,000 weekend.
Yeah.
I can just go pick up extra hours here and there and save up for it. Um, is it kind of the same situation with you too, as far as like budgeting for a race weekend, for example? Um, do you start saving like months in advance, or how do you sort of prepare for that?
Yeah. So now that the GNF is done, right, in October,
Hmm.
that's kind of when I start putting extra money aside now to build up my funds for the whole year. Right.
Nice.
So like I could just pull out of this envelope here, and that's just strictly race funds. This would cover my tires, and that's when I say to like you guys in our text group and everything is if I want to do the whole season, but if funds get low, then I'll pick and choose what ones I do because in events of crashes and stuff like that, I only want to spend a certain amount on racing, right? I don't want
Hmm.
to go into like to the negatives on racing. So like I just want to do it. I just want to do it responsibly, you know what I mean? So it's like you don't want to go max out your credit card $10,000 and try and pay it back before next race season because you're never going to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you kind of got to you kind of have to plan for it. It's an expensive sport. If you don't have it like that and you're just a regular dude working 9 to 5 job or whatever it may be, you're gonna have to plan for it. There's no, oh, I'm gonna come up on $2,000 this
Yeah.
weekend, and
On
then
a whim. Yeah.
yeah, and then 3 weeks later, I'm like, oh, I got another race coming up. Here's another 2,000. It's like, no, that's something you definitely have to put some thought into and see where you can cut cost somewhere else, or just put it away, just take it out of your check right off the top
Hmm.
and just like be like, okay, well, this is what I'm dedicated in this to.
So
So
is
like,
that your like race budget and your track day budget's all in one,
yeah,
or is
yeah,
it two separate? Okay.
yeah. So like that's why I try not to do too many track days, right? Because obviously racing costs a lot. So, and for me, I budget with, like how Jennings offers the gold pass. So I budget with that. So it's like a little bit cheaper. You might save like 100 and some odd dollars, if
Hmm.
you buy the pass over just buying 5 consecutive days over. So I try and do it like that, and especially Jennings being the only place that we really do ride in the winter months. That place is ridiculous on tires, so that turns into an expensive weekend regardless. Once you're up to pace at Jennings, expect your tires to last 1 day, if that.
Right.
So it's like, or
Yeah.
your rear tire, I should say, not your front. My front, I could push it for a little while, but
Yeah,
still,
not them rears.
nah. So
And yeah, and so like I said, for me, I don't I could probably be a lot better with budgeting, right? And um it's definitely an essential skill, right? Unless you, like you said, unless you just got it like that, you know what I mean, then it's not
exactly,
a big deal. Otherwise, I mean, you're if you're looking to get into this track day thing, especially racing, I mean, you're gonna have to start budgeting out months and months ahead of time. And like I said, with my job, the beauty of it is I can make as much as I want to work, because I mean, there's always work
yeah,
for, for us to be doing at any point in time, especially over the holidays too. Like now, for example, we got events going on all over the city that are hiring off-duty police officers to go work. So that's how I make a lot of my money back, and that's how I prepare for a lot of the stuff that I have coming up. Just a couple months out, just like you, I just start killing some overtime, start killing these details, and then just save it up.
exactly.
Um, and that's I don't feel like I'm spending a whole lot compared to other people, but at the same time, I feel like I have pretty much everything I need to progress, but to also to be competitive. Too, do you sort of feel that same way? Do you feel like you need to put more money into your program, or do you feel like what you're doing now is enough
No,
for most people?
yeah, yeah. For most people, absolutely. It might even be too much. You know,
Yeah.
like honestly, I just got it, this is years, like all the stuff that I have though, and everything that I show up to the track with is just years of progression though.
Mhm,
It's not like I went out and just bought everything right away. It's like these come from like gifts,
mhm,
that were gifted to me, like the Pitbull tree stand and everything. I just have those kind of gifts and all that. So like over years, because once I got into it, I was hooked, and like that was literally the only thing I wanted to do. So it just
mhm,
took over everything. So like any of my spare money, you know, if I should say spare money, whatever money I wanted to spend on bike parts, I was just doing it. So. I think for track days, earlier we were talking more racing and that budget, it's expensive. I think for track days, if you just want to get into it and just like really get off the street and just ride the track, I think track days are affordable for anybody, you know? I think you might have to plan for it maybe like a month in advance, I would think for the most part. Jennings they cost like 165 right now, so it's like
mhm.
you don't have to plan months in advance. At least I don't think so for $165, but maybe. But if you do, plan, plan for it. I think 165 to get out on the track for the first time and see if you actually like the beauty of no guardrails, no trees, nothing in your way. Just like, like
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad option at all, And like
Yeah.
in my opinion, I think I only rode with this org one time, but I think Precision, they probably got like one of the best orgs I've been around, in a little while. So like anybody looking to do that, especially like in the southeast, I think they're fair on price, and like everybody that goes through them is, pretty cool people. So
Yeah.
I think that organization, if you're just getting into the track days like that, I think that org is top notch in my opinion. For being new, I think it's only up from there for them people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
You know,
And with the with the track days too, just let me just sort of point out too for the people that are really new, different tracks, you'll pay different prices to ride different tracks, right? There's some tracks that are considered premium tracks, and then there's other tracks that are a lot smaller, managed by a lot smaller crew, and those are a lot cheaper. Like tracks like Jennings, like you mentioned, or Roebling, Talladega, and Jennings are pretty much on the same level too.
Yeah,
So understand, like if you live near Barber or something, a track day at Barber was what, 500 for the day,
yeah,
um, or something like that.
300,
Yeah,
340.
300. Yeah, 3 or something like that. And you might save more money by driving a little bit further and going over to Talladega, or even coming down to Jennings. I mean, you might save a couple $100 on a track day because like Alex said, that Jennings is going to be like $165 for the day, which that's not crazy compared to like at Barber where you're going to pay probably double. Um, so there's ways to save costs. And I like what you said too about saving up, and building up the supplies that you need over years, right? Because you'll see a lot of people when they're getting into new sports, they'll make a whole entire list and say, "This is what I want right now," and that list is going to be a cool, like, what, $6,000 once you throw the bike in there, and you want, brand new suit. Suit's going to be another grand. Helmet,
Oh,
$500. It's
yeah,
going to add up quick,
easy.
right?
Yeah, easy.
It's going to add up quick. But just understand, if you're on the beginner side of that, all you need is a bike. I mean, that's it. Jennings, for example, you can rent your gear at Jennings. You don't even have to buy gear until you really decide to to dip your foot into it. But if you're just testing the waters, you just want to get on track, bring your bike, tape up the headlights, rent your
Yeah,
gear. That's going to be the absolute cheapest way. Um, Still, you might find yourself in the pits next to a guy with a toy hauler and
yeah,
like two freaking Kramers, like, pulled out that thing or something. But that's just the nature of the beast, man. Because I mean, it really comes down to how much you want to put into it. But is it affordable? Yeah. And can you make it, as cost effective as you want? Absolutely. It's how much you want to put into it. Um, and speaking about bikes too, let's talk about bikes real quick, man. Because I know you got a pretty high end bike, huh?
yeah.
You probably spent a little bit more than I did.
Yeah, I feel like I paid a fair price for it. Back for when I did. I think I
Hmm.
bought my R6 for 7,500. I think it was, and
Nice.
but it had everything on it. You know what I mean? Like everything that I could say I wanted on it. That stuff outperforms my skill level. Most of the stuff there that I have on my bike, anyways. But it don't mean that eventually it'll help me out. I still think having like all the upgraded suspension and everything is pretty useful.
Yeah.
You
Oh
know,
yeah,
like
absolutely.
definitely pretty useful. But yeah, I think I paid a fair price for it. 5 years ago, I think it was something like that.
Hmm.
But like I said, that I worked up to that too. So like for the beginner guys, I had my first track bike. I would say was a CBR 600 '07, and I sold a bike, my street bike, for that bike, and then I ended up selling that CBR for this R6. So like everything I had, I always flipped it. So
Yep.
I always, it was just basically one initial purchase for a bike, and then I started flipping everything from there. So back to the beginning, I should have started there. I had a CBR 600, an '08, all white, right? Just plain bike. That was my first bike ever.
Hmm.
I ended up, getting hooked on it, and just riding on the street. I had a couple buddies at work that were into riding as well. I ended up going down to Daytona when CCS actually ran the Daytona 200. They were the ones that did that. So I went down there. My father-in-law ended up trailering the bike down for me, so I had a bike down there to ride around on. First time ever at the track, right? This is 2016 or 17, one of them, right? first time ever at the track. I didn't even know what racing really was besides him doing it, but even then I didn't even really know what it was. Went there, hooked, you know.
Done.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. Once I seen these bikes, I was just like, "Yep." And especially like on the high banks and everything, you're like, "Man, this is exactly how I want to ride."
Hmm.
So, I went home. I ended up buying like some new fairings for the bike, right? I ended up getting the wheels powder coated just to like elevate the value of the bike a little bit to see if I can get some more money out of it. Well, I ended up selling it, for way more money than I ended up buying it for. So that's kind of just how I got into it, basically. So I just flipped that bike for another bike, and I flipped that bike for another bike. I had a Grom, then I flipped that for a trailer, an enclosed trailer. So like
Yep.
everything progresses over time, you know what I mean? Like you just got to know that like that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And once that first lick that I had down at Daytona of just like watching the racing, I just knew. I was like, yeah, that's just how I want to ride.
Hmm.
It's not even more so, oh, I want to be on Daytona Speedway. It's like, no, I want to just ride like that. I want to just be able to be free, without the consequences of going down on the street.
Way more fun than the street any day of the week, right?
Any day of the
Any
week.
day of the week, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of talked about it in a recent video too, but my first bike was or not my first bike, but my current track bike is the 2013 636 that I also bought completely tracked out already, and I got a pretty good deal on it too. I got it for I think it was $4,200 at the time. Um, just with race fairings. It was all safety wired, bolted up, and it was ready to go race. Didn't have a whole lot of modifications, which I've done over time, but I bought it pretty much in that base form, and I raced. I took it straight to the track and
Yep.
got to work on it. But you can find bikes for even cheaper than that. I've seen track. I mean, and depending on what you want, but I've seen track bikes going for as low as $2,000 for like an SV650, for example, that's completely tracked out. And still, that's a really cheap deal. But you know, for once again, for those that are new, I mean, you wouldn't even need that. Like I said, you can take your current bike to the track, whatever you got, take it to the track. But if you wanted to get more serious about it, spend more time doing it, then there's a lot of cheap bikes that are already tracked out. You're going to save a ton of money just buying a bike that's already done up, just like
Yeah.
we did, right?
Yep.
You're going to save money and time buying a bike that's already done up. And there's lots of resources to buy them too. I mean, Facebook Marketplace has been popping lately with track bikes. There's a lot of forums too that sell used bikes and also used gear too. So, for me, once I got my bike, I bought some things secondhand because you can save a lot of cash getting a lot of things secondhand too. You might get lucky and find a deal where a racer selling their whole package. I've seen a lot of those pop up too.
Yep.
Um, for the guys that are really looking to get into it, if you wait around, wait long enough, every so often there's going to be a guy that's selling his entire track day package. I mean, the bike, the gear, spare wheels, the trailer, everything. So you can save some cash waiting for those to pop up too. But once again, the main point is it's just so many ways to go about getting on the track, and then eventually getting into racing. Uh, let's talk about like track day cost versus racing cost, right? Um, you think those costs are comparable at all?
um, they could be, I would say.
Yeah.
Just depends. It depends on how competitive you want to be, right?
Hmm.
So it's like you want to run the same tires all weekend long at a race weekend. You could probably, what's it cost for for four race entries, right, on a weekend? It's probably roughly $400,
Yep.
somewhere around there. So you're talking, I don't know, that's cheaper. Those four races at 8 laps a race. So you're talking about 32 laps to what you can get out of a whole day. Well, 2 days, track days for probably like $50 more.
Yeah.
So I think the prices, depending on what you do, can be comparable, right? I just
Hmm.
feel like on a track day, you're not going to spend as much money or feel the need to spend as much money, I should say, right? Because you're on Sunday, you want to put a fresh rear tire on and have, whatever 2 or 3 races, whatever you're doing. You just want to feel that confidence. You don't want to have to think about, well, I just ran this race for or this rear tire for 2 practice sessions yesterday and 3 races, and now I just flipped it and I'm gonna go back out on it. You
Yeah.
know, so for like a newbie, I would say you can run the tires a long ways because you're not up to that speed. You know what I mean? So it's like with the track day, I think it might be a little cheaper because of the slicks, right? So
Yeah.
like for a beginner and novice, you ain't gonna run slicks. So right there, you're gonna save money. The tires are just gonna last a little bit longer, for you. As to where slicks, you need those warmers too. So there's an added cost. So I think they have their similarities. You could probably do it for somewhere comparable to the same cost as each other. It just all depends on racing's competitive, man. You're not out there. Nobody's out there just to putz around in the raceway, in a
Yeah.
racing weekend. But on a track day, you see people, at Jennings in the A group doing minute 30s. So it's like it's just different. It's just a way
Yeah.
different
Those.
ball game. So
Yeah, and those tire costs will get you, man. Won't they?
that's the that's
That's
the
the
main
worst
thing.
part of it. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
worst part of it.
if the tires weren't that much money, I don't think this sport would be, you know, as much as it is. Don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, like for us, all the tracks are pretty far.
Hmm.
So to haul the trailer and everything and all that, that's an added cost,
Yep.
for everything. So
And for the people that are looking to get into track days, also understand too, you can, I mean, you don't have to have slicks at all, especially being a novice. I wouldn't even worry about it.
no,
Just run whatever you got on your bike because, in at novice pace or being new, it's not going to make a difference.
no,
Either way, if you're just new and you're just learning, run what's on your bike. Now, like Alex said, you start getting faster, you start shredding some tires, and it might be time to switch over to slicks. But also understand you can do that on a budget too, because just with track days, I mean, go pop on, any forum or even go walk in the pits at the track. Go ask people for their old tires. I'll gladly give you some of my old tires, no matter who you are. We got a stack of them. But you can cut some costs right there too when you do decide to make the switch to go over to slicks. Man, just run takeoffs. Now in the race, I'm with you where when I'm running some older tires in a race, like it's in my mind, I'm thinking about it.
yeah,
For sure,
yep,
it's on my mind. So you for a race, then yeah, you kind of have a little bit more fixed cost for sure. I would say you at least want to have like one new set going into the weekend. Now, how far you want to stretch that set, that's on you. But
yep,
um, tire cost it just sucks, man. It is what it is. At least for the middleweight and bigger bikes, anyways. 250s, probably aren't burning through them as
no,
bad. I guess the 400 does
yeah.
eventually.
I got. I don't know. The suspension setup needs to be. I think once we get that a little dialed in, I think it'll be good.
Yeah, and Alex, he's talking about our Ninja 400 that we're going to be racing for the endurance classic coming up. Um, Alex and I, we're on back marker racing. We're going to be out there for the whole weekend. We're going to be out there to Friday. You're showing up for the Friday practice too, right?
Yeah,
Getting off topic a little bit, but yeah.
yeah,
So yeah, we'll
definitely.
be out there, yeah, for Friday practice, and then we'll be racing all weekend with the Separano Endurance Classic on Ninja 400. Um, so come check us out. And man, not to stay off topic too much, but Endurance racing is probably the cheapest way for anybody to get into racing, huh? I'm
Yeah,
finding out.
and
You
it's
can't
fun.
really beat that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's crazy fun. Yep.
I know. We broke down our budget for the entire weekend, between five people, and it came out to about around 500 some odd bucks for us to run a bike for 2 3 hour races, a 5 hour race, and a Friday practice. It came out to about $500-ish per person with the fees and the tires and everything. So endurance racing, if you're looking to save a few bucks, shoot, you might want to look into it. It's
Yeah,
not bad.
500 is not bad at all.
It's not, and that's, man, new tires and everything.
Yeah,
Um, so and like you said, so the just going back to the fees real quick too. I mean, the fees for a track day versus a race. Track day fees can vary depending on where you are. Race fees are mostly fixed, but I've noticed that they will charge a little bit more for the premium tracks.
yeah,
But I'd probably say that's probably only comparable if you're only going to enter what, like one race, maybe two races on the weekend. Then the costs kind of even out a little bit as far as just the fees to get on track, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So then, yeah, then you got to think you got a gate. Most track day orgs, they don't charge you the gate fee, right?
Hmm.
So besides Jennings, but on Jennings days, they charge because their track day price is low, so they
Yeah.
charge gate fee. But most track day orgs, when you go to like Road Atlanta, you're not paying the gate fee for there, right? It's usually they cover it, and the camping is usually free or whatever package they have, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I just, I feel like as WERA, they get you. Everybody walking through that place,
Yep.
they got, whatever it may be, depending at $30 some places, $40 another place, and that's just for the wristband for the weekend just to walk in the building. So there you go. You show up with your wife and three kids. Well,
Yep.
there that's a track day cost right there to walk in the barber like that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's like that's that's something you got to put in to account. And I feel as for, or speaking to like the newcomers, or people on the fence of trying it out, Barber is not the spot for you to do your first track day. I don't,
It's not, man.
in my
It's
opinion,
not.
it's just not. I think a track more like if you live down here, Jennings is nice because it's kind of like the road. It's just flat, some turns and nice, technical spots, but it's not going to have all that crazy elevation like Barber has. I just feel like that Barber is a track where it utilizes all the skill set of a motorcycle, that you have to have just different skill sets to maximize the potential of your bike on that track. And I just feel like for a newcomer, it's just better off you go to, I don't know, I would guess one of the easier tracks, I would say. And that would
Yeah.
just be like down here, Roebling, Tally,
Yep.
Jennings, something like that to get your feet wet. And then you end up liking it and you start jiving with your bike because it's a way different feeling than going on the road, like going on a little roundabout or something like that. So once you
Hmm.
start driving with your bike, do a couple of track days, and then you want to spread your wings, go to Road Atlanta, and do all those. But I just
Yeah.
feel if you're new, I feel like those places are, Tally and Jennings are probably the best to get your feet wet. You know,
Yeah. I
if
oh
you're up
I
in,
agree. Yeah.
if you're up in the Northeast, New York Safety Track,
Hmm.
exactly the same type of vibe as Jennings. Just a little family owned place, chilled out, not a bunch of rules. But like it's just the same vibe. You're not gonna those places for newcomers. I feel as if Jennings has that vibe where it just welcomes like the street riders. It's just
Yeah,
like an easier place for everybody to be like, okay, let's all come out, especially from like your area. I feel like a lot of people are come out from there for the first time, in
yeah,
Tallahassee. But
100%, 100%. Because like I agree with everything you're saying. I couldn't imagine going to Barber for my first time ever being on the track because it I mean it was even challenging, like at my level, I'd say. It still took me, man, about a solid day before I could even get like fully comfortable out there. Or I
yeah,
wouldn't even say comfortable before I could just start to begin to like understand the lines and where I needed to put the bike because that track, I mean, just blind turns, elevation, it's massive. The pit in, pit out is massive.
yeah, yeah,
Paddock's massive. It would be sensory overload pulling into that place for a first track day. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. Try to find somewhere like Tally, Jennings, Roebling, um, just somewhere that's not as intimidating. I mean, you're probably going to be stressed out as a new rider coming to the track for the first time. But places like Jennings, I mean, they make it real easy. Jennings has a novice class that they put on in the morning for the novice group. If you're in novice group at Jennings, you start in the classroom for the beginning of the day. And then the first two sessions, they take you out. They do a lead follow type of thing, and they show you how to get on and off the track, show you how to ride around, and they'll do that a couple times before they cut you loose. But that's definitely something that you would want to do. And so we went to Barber with Sport Bike Track Time, and there's a video on the page posted from that too. But they also did the lead follow thing. But once again, I don't know how effective it, like putting myself in the shoes of a brand new rider. I don't even know how much I would have got from doing the lead follow out at Barber. I'd still be shell shocked. I'd feel like once they cut us loose trying to ride around there. Uh,
yeah.
but yeah, definitely solid points.
I feel as if you I feel if you want to go and putz around Barber, and just take it slow and pay $300 for a track day just to go slow around it, that's where I'm basically coming from, where I wouldn't want to do it, is because you can't ride the track to its full potential. So
Hmm.
if you give it, a couple track days at an easier track per se, right? And then you already kind of are starting to feel like how to trail brake, how to do those little, like little just baby steps that it just takes to control the motorcycle how you want it to, how you're supposed to. I feel if you go to one of the easier tracks, the more flowy tracks, you can just jive with everything. You jive with your bike, get used to it and how it maneuvers, flicking it back and forth, all that stuff, right? And then you go to Barber, yeah, it's probably going to take you all of Saturday to even get comfortable. But on Sunday, you might be able to ride it to your potential at the time. You might be able to ride your ride instead of going out in a novice group and going 20 miles an hour, you know,
Yep.
down into Charlotte's Web when really, you could hammer that, go down, break deep, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yep.
once you really can ride to the potential, that track is a blast. That's what makes it fun because then it's like a roller coaster. When it's at 20 miles an hour, it ain't no roller coaster. You're
Ain't the
just putzing
same.
around. No, no.
Yeah, after we rode there, man, I didn't want to ride anywhere else.
Exactly.
So definitely put Barber on the bucket list for the
Yep.
for the new people out there for sure. Um, so yeah, let's come full circle real quick, right? So all in all, like I said, we've told everybody kind of what we do and how we go about saving up money for the track, and we showed you that there's a lot of different ways to go about it, but it really just depends on how much you want to put into it. But uh, also understand, you can spend as little as you want, you can spend as much as you want, but it's something that's definitely attainable for most people. We had Fahad from Precision on here the other day for a show. If anybody missed that one, go check it out. But he said that they offer what is it, a firm, I think, where you can where you can buy the track day and then you can split it up into payments.
Yep.
So, you take $165 track day, split that up, into 5 payments, 6 payments or whatever. That's really not that bad. Um, Being brand new, you know, split that payment up, show up on the bike you have, run the tires you have, and then rent the gear. I mean, you for that first payment, I mean, you probably not even going to be in it for $100.
Yeah, exactly.
It couldn't be, yeah,
Yeah.
couldn't
No,
be,
them offering that is
yeah.
actually is smart,
Hmm.
because it's smart for them. If you, in my opinion, if you need to use a firm for the track day, I feel like you should probably just reevaluate what you're doing. You
Hey,
know,
that budget, man, you gotta make that budget work.
but man, like if you it's just, say if it's $200 for the track day, imagine there's always the possibility of you going down. That's
Hmm.
way more than 200, no matter what it is. For the most part,
Yeah.
rear sets will cost you over that. Clip-ons will cost you over that. So it's like I smart, smart as ever business tactic, you know. But I feel
Yeah.
like if you need this sport is money consuming,
Hmm.
right? And it's like you just gotta be. I just feel like you gotta be just smart, or else it could probably lead you into bad situations. You never know. I don't know. Depending on how you are as a person, it could just it's just a lot of money, and depending, like you said, how far you want to take it,
Hmm.
all depends on how much
And
income you have.
and I guess that's the running joke now, right? They say, what is it? Once you start racing, just
Yep.
forget about your savings. Just forget about your credit cards. You're gonna
Yeah.
spend it all. You're gonna spend it all. But
Yeah.
like I said, if you take away anything from this video, and I'm gonna say it one more time, right? The budget is big, but at the lower level, right? Just take what you got, pick. I like what you said about picking the right track. Take what you currently have, whatever machine that is. Don't go break the bank buying a brand new bike, brand new gear. Just wait for all that. Take your bike, take your gear, rent what you don't have, and get on the track. That's all you need. Other than that, man, well, you're gonna need to bring some gas, bring you
Yeah.
some lunch. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. So if you're paying it forward, what, $250 maybe for the apps for showing up, renting gear, paying gas, and you bring your own food at
Yep.
Jennings. What, $250
That's what I'm
tops? I
thinking.
guess depending on where you're driving from, you might spend more on gas depending
Yeah.
on where you're driving from. But 250, $300, right? Just to make it happen on the
And that's not,
lower end.
yeah, that's not bad.
Hmm.
I think that's pretty obtainable for, the normal person that
Yeah.
just wants to try it out. I don't think you don't have to be rich, to do this sport. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure, it helps, but
Yep. And racing, what, probably bumped that up to about 500 for the absolute bare. Like, I'm rolling up in my pickup truck with my bike in the back. I'm
yeah,
not changing
yeah,
tires or anything. What, $500? You can make a race happen.
yeah. For what, a weekend, you're saying?
Let's say a day, right? For like compare it
Oh,
to
okay.
one day, like a track day, right? So show
One
up,
day,
yeah, one day, two races, yeah,
two races, one day. I mean, two
current
practices in the
tires, yeah,
morning. Yeah, you could probably make it happen for 400 to 500,
yeah,
depending if you're putting the gas money to get to the place and back home in it. But
mhm,
yeah, 400 or 500 bucks. So
yeah,
yeah, I know I know a decent amount of people that do it on a strict budget. Like they're if they're dropping their bike, they're putting duct tape on the fairings. They're not doing
hmm,
anything crazy. It's they don't care if they have a Franken bike and the things in different pieces and
nope,
colors and stuff. They're gonna just go out there and ride the bike. If it turns on, it's good to go. Yeah.
exactly. That's how it's got to be sometimes, man.
Yeah. But
Sweet,
I just think it's definitely obtainable for everybody. And then
yeah,
you decide where you go from there. And everybody makes decisions. You could always budget even a little bit more and a little bit more, and just make whatever goals you have happen.
sweet. Yeah, I agree, man. And like I said, we're not gonna keep you here all night. So thanks for coming up, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, I figured you'd be good to come and talk about cost because you've been spending it for years now, you know,
Yeah.
between track days and racing and everything else. But like I said, thanks for coming on, man. I'm sure some people are going to get some value out of the things that you had to share today. So definitely, thanks for coming on and sharing your experience.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, bro. No worries. Well, like I said, if you have any questions for anybody that's watching, hey, just leave them in the comments. We'll get to you. But key takeaway: it's not impossible to get on track. It's not impossible to go racing. If you're on the fence, go do it because the street is just trash compared to the track. It's complete trash.
Yeah, get off the street. For what you pay in insurance money a month, you can get on to Jennings at least once a month.
Way more fun on the track. Get your knee
Yeah.
down, and hopefully we'll see y'all out there. We'll holler.
Yeah, absolutely.